Okay, I recorded this video on Friday night, but as I was getting ready to upload it to YouTube, I thought about something in the title and looked it up, and it turns out that the title of this episode of Star Trek Discovery is the same as the title of a famous short story by Ray Bradbury. And in that story, a person from the future goes back in time and steps on a butterfly. Everybody's heard this story, but it gives a big hint to what we know about the Red Angel. And I thought I'd want to add that in right here before I show the video that I did before I thought about that. So anyway, something else to think about, that this episode probably is revealing to us that the Red Angels are doing some serious time travel here. And something else to bring up is that what's happening is not happening so much from the future as it is from the past. So think about that and stay tuned for the video up next. Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd, and with the sound of thunder we go back to Saru's home planet. No big surprise. We probably expect him to see his sister again, which he does, and she is now the High Priestess, and the father has gone. We get some insight on the relationship between brother and sister there, of Saru's reaction to being able to go back to his home planet, and this rage that he seems to have built up, having found that they'd been lied to by the Baul. Now, all of this kind of comes to a head on the bridge, and we find that Pike is remarkably tolerant of the insubordination that Saru shows on the bridge in front of all the bridge officers, and it was certainly noticed by all of them. And probably if not for the intervention of Burnham there, Pike may have confined him to quarters or something like that, or taken more action against it. But interesting to see this without the constant fear in his life, that Saru is willing to be a lot more assertive even with his captain, although when it came down to it, he still was obeying orders mostly. The most interesting part of this episode really has nothing to do with that plot. We knew that he was going to go back, he was going to try to reform, and they came up with a credible way of forcing the issue to where the Baul and the Kelpians are going to have to go on an equal footing, and there's a nice twist in the middle of just exactly why the Baul have made the Kelpians prey. So, as always, sometimes in things like this, it's a matter of fear. But what's interesting in here is that we see some other things that are going on. First of all, of some of the information that was gotten from the sphere in a previous episode that they were able to use in order to free the Kelpians from the oppression of the Baul. We also see a little more of Ash Tyler working with the crew, being a little more accepted than he was in the previous episode. We know that we have a much more determined Michael Burnham to go back to Vulcan and try and reestablish contact, possibly to make more of a amends with her foster mother that left on kind of a chilly note when she was on the ship. And also we see something of Hugh Culber, who is recovering kind of like he's got a post-traumatic stress, which would be understandable considering if you've died and come back, there's got to be a bit of culture shock, shall we say. And they have observed that while his mind and his DNA are identical to him before he left the ship, he has had a reconstituted body. He has a unscarred, unscathed physique now because of the fact that he was rebuilt. And this is having some effect on him as well. We can see that this is going to have an effect on the relationship with Stamets, who is worried, even in his joy to have Hugh back. He's very concerned as to what he's getting back. And Hugh obviously is rather uncomfortable with being the patient over being the doctor, and does not really know what to make of himself. And so there's interest in there as well. So we have a number of people on Discovery who are just not themselves. Saru is feeling a whole new self that he's not sure what to do with, in the same way that Hugh is in a whole new self, not knowing what to do with. And we find that Michael is having to reassess everything that she thought that she was, and opinions that she's held, and perhaps has to come to terms with that as well. So it was rather interesting. There were a couple of moments in there that I found kind of interesting. First, a conversation between Ash and Pike, that Ash kind of hits Pike where it hurts. Pike is suffering from guilt at not having been in any of the battles during the war, off on his 5-year mission, and not helping where he feels like that he was needed. And Ash kind of turns the knife on that. Those two are going to be, at very best, kind of at odds with each other, I would think. Add to that the fact that he's part of Section 31, and add to it just that they're different kinds of people. He was more of Lorca's kind of guy than he is Pike's kind of guy. So we also find out more about the Red Angel, and it leads me to stop and think about what we can make of this. The Red Angel, we find, is a humanoid in a mech suit, which is to say a spacesuit. So we add that to the fact that we found out last week that when the Red Angel appears, it leaves a trail of tachyons, which we've seen from previous Star Trek episodes, Star Trek movies. I believe in First Contact, they used chronotons, but tachyons were used in Deep Space Nine for Sisko's solar ship. He had a solar sailor that he built on an ancient Bajoran design, and found out that when in contact with the tachyon field, that the ship would go warp speeds. So tachyons they're one of these kind of things that are kind of a do-all particle in the Trek universe, and they mentioned that in addition to warp and transporter signals, but also signs of time travel. So we can suspect that either the Red Angels, who now seem to be humanoid, are possibly traveling through time, or through transwarp conduits or something like that. Our idea that they might have been the Borg probably was unfounded, although the technology to do it would be within their realm. But I think something to think about is, why have they appeared where they appeared? They've been on Earth right at World War III to take a whole colony to another planet outside of most starships' range, even in this century. They have appeared in young Spock's life to find Michael when she tries to run away. They are everywhere Discovery needs to be, including now Saru's home planet. Now, what do all these things have in common? Who is it that, and they wouldn't just pull somebody out of the ether, I don't think. I don't think this would be one of those 29th century time travelers that we saw in DS9. I have a feeling that this is someone that knows these people and has managed to go forward in time somehow and has come back in time to help them all. Now, It's been theorized that maybe that's Michael. I don't think so, because once again, she is one of the people who's benefited from it. Who has not seen the Red Angel that knows about all of this, that knows about the situation between Spock and Michael, that knows about World War III, that knows about the Kelpians' capture? What is it that these things have in common? I think as we see more Red Angel sightings, we're going to be able to figure this out. And right now, I will go as far to say that it's probably a member of the Discovery crew that somehow managed to go into the future and come back and help everybody by appearing in places, knowing that Discovery was going to go after them. So, I want to know what you think, who you think the Red Angel might be. We know now that it is not an actual angel. We can pretty much say that it's not some kind of machine. It's not an alien life form. So, with it being a humanoid, it's probably human. Let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments and we'll read them and comment on them if we find something we can say about it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Also, leave us a like. And until next time, don't go far.